Hey y'all, it's Jessica from Sloppy Swatches. Today for this week's But Do They Watermarble, I'm featuring the Savannah Lacquer's Dress Me Up 80s collection that's available right now. I do have a full swatch and review of this collection down in the description box. I'll link it. It was sent to me for review. I'll also be putting these really through the ringer today. I think I have 4 patterns to share with you at a final look and then also some LED lighting at the end. So this is going to be a bit of a longer video. So I'll go ahead and get right into it. To begin with, I do have 2 coats of Summer in the City by Phoebe Moon's Moonshine Mania. I'll link that down in the description box as well. I'll be using the Cuticula liquid nail tape in the scent Milky Way. This is one of my all-time favorite scents. It really does smell chocolatey and marshmallowy and all kinds of wonderful. It also goes on really smooth and easy and removes really easy as well. Again, I'll have that linked in the description box. So of course I'm starting with my tiny teacup full of room temperature filtered water. I am going to drop them first in the order that I swatched them in, and you guys, these could not be easier to use. They spread nice and aggressively. I had no problems piling up as many loops as I wanted to into the center of that bullseye. I think I did end up doing about 9. I could of course go further. These were a little bit on the thinner side. That makes them amazing for both the dropping and spreading. So here I'm going in for just my linear pattern that I usually do. These feel almost like there's nothing in the water, just super easy to manipulate. I was able to go in for a full double with no problems at all. So next I'll show you how they dropped in the opposite order. So I'm starting with the purple. I'm going to work all the way back down to the pink. Again, I had no problems. Even not cleaning the water, sometimes there's a little bit of residue left in the top of the cup. These pushed that right out. I didn't have to fiddle with them at all. I was able to go in again for I believe 9 drops. I could have gone further if I'd wanted to, but I think this makes a really nice bullseye. So next I'm going to go in with the full spiral, and I think this is one of the hardest patterns to do because you really need polish that's not going to dry on you, so you have time to manipulate all of those little rings. So again, I had let's see, 8 points outwards and then 8 points inwards, and then a full swirl starting in the middle, and this worked absolutely beautifully. I didn't have to worry about polish piling up in the center of the bullseye either, so that was really nice. Next, I'll show you how they perform when doing a petal pattern. I think that this is one of the most used patterns for water marbling. This is not even my final look. I just wanted to share it with you guys. So I did start with the teal, which is somewhere in the middle, and I'm going to go all the way back down, and I think I did 9 drops again. I did have to work this pattern out a little bit. This was almost my last pattern, so I did have quite a bit of residue built up on the top of my cup, but even still, like, that was super easy, no problems. I loved how that made a little bit of heart before I drug some more petals in. I was able to seriously just keep going with these as long as I wanted to. I could have made as many petals until it was like nothing but petals. These worked so well. I'm really not one to push or hard sell polishes, but if you love water marbling or if you want to start water marbling, I think this is a great set to try. Also, I've noticed that those glitter flakes kind of help mask or camouflage any dots or bubbles that you may get in the final look, which is awesome. So next I'll show you what I did for my final look. Again, I'm starting with the purple here, but I'm going to work my way from the purple back through the pinks. I wanted my final look to be very warm and very bright with some of the warmer tones. So again, I think I did about 8 or 9 drops into the center of that bullseye. And I'm going to do the pattern that I would do for a spiral pattern, but then just drop my nail before I create the full spiral. I think this is like a starburst or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what they call it. But it's pretty much the same steps. You just pull all of those points outwards and then inwards, but then before you drop that water marble tool in and make a swirl, you just drop your nail directly into it. I did tighten up the center a little bit there with my water marble tool and then dipped my nails that are prepped with that Cuticula and Summer in the City directly into that image. I then did gather up the excess polish using a Q-tip, and here's a look at that completed marble. Very bright, very fun, and summery. So next I'll remove that Cuticula. Really easy, it snaps off so nicely. I did have to kind of go in and remove the little bit of that excess polish because I didn't break the image before removing that liquid nail base. Not a big deal at all. Next I'm going to go in with some acetone and a cleanup brush and just get any of the remainders off. Once that's done, I'm going to go in with a glossy top coat. I am using the Colors Carol Glossy Top Coat today. This didn't smear at all, made a nice hard glossy finish. These do tend to dry down a little bit dull without a top coat, so I definitely recommend doing this step. Next, I'm going to do some stamping to show you guys how they LED light. Today I'm using the Moya Scorpio plates. I'm going to go in for the roses here. I'm using Noche from Moonflower Polish. I'll link that down below as well. I'm going to apply generously to this image, give a firm scrape, and then an upwards roll with my Creative Shop stamper. I did transfer that right over Summer in the City. It was a little bit hard to film that, so I kind of just skipped it. I filmed it, but then I had to replace the image because it wasn't centered on my nail, so I just cut that part. So next I'm going to do a drop of each of the colors of the Dress Me Up 80s collection, and then go in with a dotting tool and just color this image in like you would a coloring page. The cool thing about these jellies is that you can color over that black stamping without messing it up. It's going to shine directly through these colors, and you can really play around with blending them and things like that. So I am going to go in for the rainbow pattern roses. This did take a little bit of time. I even sped this up, but it's a little bit tedious to watch, so I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit more for you. So I just worked my way all the way through the rainbow. I'm going to continue filling in this image. You can see that that rose stamping really still pops through. These were fun to play with, and I also love how they blended, especially those purples and blues. So pretty. So next I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup again with acetone and a cleanup brush. And then I'm going to go in once more with that Colores de Carol glossy top coat. I know this is the 80s collection, but this feels very Lisa Frank to me. I love how those little flakes of holographic stand out. And I think that these pop brighter over white base than they did on their own. When I swatch them on their own. And since they're jellies, they can be a little bit less than completely opaque. So these work perfectly for this. Here's a look at that completed mani with a glossy top coat. One thing I didn't do is show you how bright these glow under UV lighting. So here's a quick look at that. These are insanely bright, really fun to play with. This is my final swatch photo at an angle underneath my artificial lighting. So that wraps up today's, but do they water marble? As always, I would love to hear your guys' recommendations of things that you'd like to see tested. I will have all of my information listed in the description box below. If you'd like, you can follow me on my blog at sloppyswatches.com or on Instagram at sloppyswatches. So thanks so much for watching, guys. See you next time.